Hi, my name is Jen, and today I wanted to share some of the things that I've learned since becoming a parent. As you can see, I am expecting I'll be having a son in just a few months, but I already have a 1-year-old son, and so these are kind of the lessons that I've learned in the first year of parenting. So the first thing that I actually learned before my son was born, and that was you have to be comfortable saying no. And I actually learned this while I was pregnant. There's lots of people who just come up and give you a whole bunch of unsolicited advice, and so you kind of have to be able to figure out whether or not you're going to take that advice. Some advice is good, some is bad, and so you have to be able to kind of weed that out. Where I really learned this lesson was coming up with my registry, or the items to buy for my son. There's so many items out there, and if you're a new parent or you're an experienced parent, you probably know this. There's always more things that you can buy for your child, and there's more food, there's more toys, there's more clothes, there's more gadgets to make life a little bit easier. There's always something more, and being a new parent, you want to do everything you can to make sure that your child is cared for and you have the best for your child. So it's very difficult when you're faced with so many options. But yeah, I learned that you really have to begin to say no and kind of set some of those boundaries. So throughout that process, I really learned that you really have to make a lot of choices and be comfortable saying no, because there's always more things that you can do, but it's not always the best decision. You need to balance food and other needs, and there's lots of other factors that come into play then as well. So becoming a parent and being a parent really means you have to be comfortable saying no, and really set your own boundaries is another way to look at it. My next lesson, I actually learned kind of in the few days after delivery and kind of during the delivery process. And I won't go into too many details or anything, but the rule is you have to let go. And this one is very bittersweet. I've continued to learn this since having my son, but I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain or express, but being pregnant and having your baby in you is just such a wonderful experience for me. I love having my baby kind of right here. I know that he's safe, and it's really fun to feel him moving around and to just really be this connected. You know, there's really no other relationship where you're this connected to another person, and so it's a very, very unique experience. Yeah, and it's wonderful, it's great, but it doesn't last forever. And you know, kind of thankfully, there's some problems with being pregnant too. But I just remember after having my first son, the first few days, and even the first few minutes and the night, and just it was very, very strange and difficult. I went from having my son with me and comfortable and safe, and I can take him wherever I go very easily and all of that, to suddenly being outside of me, where he's exposed to so much more danger and harm. And not only that, he's so far away. I remember sitting there the first night and just wanting to hold him and have him sleep with me, because he just seemed so far away, and he was right next to my bed, and I wanted to have him close to me at all times. And yeah, so that was just very difficult, but it is good. It is a natural part. I think that it's good that my son was born. I've loved getting to know him and watch him grow. It's been wonderful, but it was a bit of an adjustment actually having him outside of me. And kind of since then, I've really just learned that there's lots of times when I'm supposed to be there to help him, and there's other times where I need to let him figure things out. So for instance, at first I nursed him, I was feeding him, and he was very, very dependent on me still. And now that he's a bit older, he can eat other foods, he can even feed himself, and he's starting to let me know his wants and desires and stuff. Which is also bittersweet. But yeah, it's just really important to help him out when he needs it, but to also let him figure things out for himself. I've found that if I rush in to help him a little bit too quickly, then he's not able to learn, and I have to just keep doing that then. And so I think this lesson to let go is really a bittersweet lesson. It's really hard to let go as a parent. So far in my first year, it's really, really hard to let go because you love your child and you just want the best for them and you want to help them. And at first, they're so dependent on you, and so you're just kind of used to it. You're programmed to kind of want to just help them and do it for them. But it's really wonderful to see them learn something, to see them do something for themselves, and to see them grow as a unique individual outside of you. It's also really nice to not have to do so much anymore. So there are some benefits and positives to it, but it is very hard. The third rule, or the third thing that I've learned, is parenting is a balancing act. And I kind of referenced this in the first rule about saying no or setting your own boundaries. I've really found, and I also kind of referenced it with the letting go lesson, but I've just really found that parenting is just really about balancing and kind of knowing when to intervene and when not to. I think it's really important to let your child explore and learn and grow outside of yourself, but you also want to make sure that your child will be safe. So one area that I've really kind of wrestled with this, and I still kind of wrestle with it, is about protection. I want to make sure that my child is safe and isn't going to get into any serious harm or danger or isn't in a situation that's life-threatening. But I also want to make sure that my child is able to learn and explore. And sometimes exploring means he may pinch his finger or hit his head or something like that. And while I don't want that to happen, I also want to make sure that he's learning and he's kind of setting those limits himself. If I'm always saving him from falling, then, if I'm not around, he could fall in a really bad place and really hurt himself than if he falls from, a small distance in a carpeted area. One area where I've really struggled with this is with protection. Of course, I want to make sure that I'm keeping my child safe from anything that's really harmful or life-threatening. But what about the things where he could just get hurt a little bit? For instance, he has a small toy chest. It's maybe a foot tall, and he likes to climb onto it. And it makes me super nervous. I'm like, my anxiety levels are high the whole time he's climbing on it. But I feel like it's really good to let him explore and climb on that because we have a carpeted floor. It's only the height of a foot, so it's not very high. So if he does fall, it's not a super big fall. And it's also onto carpet. And in addition to that, I can also make sure that there's not a whole lot of dangerous things around him. So he can learn about balance and gravity and other things like that without too many super harmful risks. And I'd much rather him learn about it in a controlled, safe environment like this, even where he could maybe fall and hit his head or something like that. Here, at least, it's a controlled environment and safe. Compared to being outside with gravel or rocks or sharp edges or other things like that, and an even greater height. So it's still, I feel very uncomfortable. I don't like it. I do always make sure that I am watching him and very close in case there is something that could really hurt him. But I also want to make sure that he can explore and kind of learn some things for himself as well. The other thing that I learned is it is a responsibility. There's so much work that goes into being a parent. I'm constantly thinking about ways to engage him and teach him and help him to learn and explore, but I'm also constantly thinking about ways to protect him and keep him safe. It just kind of seems like this world is just determined to try and hurt and harm him. And so I'm really trying to make sure that I'm keeping him safe from harm, but also letting him learn and grow and be his own person. And that takes a lot of work. I've also just learned that I absolutely love being a parent. I absolutely love it. I have a 1-year-old son. I'm having another one soon, and I hope to have more as well. But it is a lot of work, and it does take a lot of time and energy and planning and priority. I can't just go and do anything that I want to do. I can't just take a night off or whatever without any type of planning. I have to really plan ways to take care of myself. I have to really plan time to do other things that need to be done, like chores and stuff like that. I really have to be very intentional to make sure that I'm being the best parent that I can be for him and caring for him, but also taking care of my needs and then the needs of my family. And I've really just found that, something as simple as just going out the door is a really big ordeal and takes a lot of planning. So, I always tell my friends who become pregnant for the first time that they should really enjoy just walking out the door without having to pack a whole bunch of things, because being kind of a single person or not being a parent yet really is very different, even being pregnant, from actually having a child and having to think about all the things that you need to bring for every kind of possible outcome so you're prepared. And so, even something as simple as just leaving the house, it really is kind of a big ordeal. And so all of the other things also take time. So meals, sleep, planning activities, going out, challenging your child and helping them to learn and grow, all of those things take a lot of time and energy. So it is a responsibility. It is something that I think really needs to be weighed and planned a bit more. All right, and the final thing that I've learned so far is that you really need to enjoy every moment, every day, every phase. And this one is pretty self-explanatory, and you probably hear this a lot, but it just goes by so fast. And there's so many things that my son would do that were just so adorable and cute and wonderful, and he only did them for a few days or for a week or two or something like that. And so thankfully I've been able to take lots of photos and videos, so I'm able to still enjoy those. But it just goes by so quickly. Oh my goodness. So yes, I just definitely recommend being very present focused, really enjoying each phase, even if it's frustrating, being tired at night, or late night feedings, or changing the diapers, or feeding your baby solid food for the first time, or tantrums or whatever. There are some things that are kind of frustrating, but there's also some wonderful things that come with those days and phases and other things like that. So for nursing can be kind of difficult. I had a pretty good experience. It was kind of frustrating to wake up and have to nurse him in the middle of the night a whole bunch of times, but I also really enjoyed that bonding time, and I knew that it wouldn't last forever, and so I really just tried to enjoy each feeding for what it was, because sure enough, it's now over, and I do miss it. And so yeah, just really enjoying each moment, each phase, each smile. I found that with my son, he would do something that was really cute or sweet, or he'd be learning something, and it would only last for a few days or a week or two, and then he was on to the next thing, or he didn't do that thing anymore. So he used to stick out his tongue a little bit when I would say, "I love you," and that was so sweet. I think that was his way of trying to say, "I love you back." And he only did that for like a week or two, and then he stopped. And when he was learning to walk, he took his first like solo step and just took a few steps after that for just a few days. And now he's full on walking everywhere on his own. And it only took a few days or a week. And so you really want to make sure that you're enjoying those little moments, because they come and go really quickly. So I definitely recommend being present focused and enjoying the moments when you're in them, but also if you're able to snap some pictures or a short video, that is also amazing. I've definitely loved looking back at some of my favorite pictures and videos from this past year, and I'm sure I'll do that all throughout their lives. But yeah, that's definitely something I've learned. And kind of a bonus thing that I've learned, this one kind of applies more to me. This is really, I suppose, more of a challenge, but I'm just constantly amazed at how resilient and curious my son is, and I've really been encouraged by that. I'm so happy to see that, but I'm also really challenged by that personally. I really want to try and be more curious and not be so hurt or upset when things don't go my way at the first time. It's amazing to watch a child learn to do something for the first time, and when you're a new parent, you see that a lot. And it's just really amazing how he'll do something and it won't work for a few times even, and he just doesn't get it upset, or he may get a little upset, but he keeps trying and he figures it out. He's very, very smart and he gets it. And so that's just really challenged me to be a bit more resilient and curious and not afraid. I may not always succeed first try, but it's important to keep trying, because eventually I will. And so that's something that I've also learned, or kind of been challenged in this first year of parenthood. I'm excited to see this even more with my second son, and I'm really excited to see how they interact together. So I'm sure I'll learn a lot more from having two children. So those are the lessons that I've learned in the first year of parenthood, as well as things that I've learned being pregnant. I hope that those are helpful, and if you would like to see a video of what I learned having two little ones, I'll have two under 2 for about 6 months, and I'm sure that will be quite an experience. So if you would like to see that video, please like this video and let me know in the comments, and please subscribe if you haven't already. I hope you have a great day. Bye.